viewers, and we are back here on Youth Wednesdays on Tobago Updates, continuing the celebration of International Women's Day into a week. Of course, we are happy to be with you here this morning. We are young women. I would say young women in hosting. What do you say, JeNae?
I feel like you worded it perfectly.
Yeah, young woman in hosting. I'll take that title this morning. And of course, a lot of women in a lot of spheres are joining us this morning, as was mentioned in our rundown. We have first up Mrs. Ayanna Carter Brassey. So just let's welcome Mrs. Brassey here this morning with us.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, good morning. This is a very familiar face. Won't you say, JeNae?
I would say so, yes.
Thank you for being here with us this morning, Mrs. Carter. I mean, for our viewers who may not know, I don't know why you wouldn't. She is the news anchor for TTT and also one of the producers, right? So, Mrs. Carter, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your profession for those who may not know?
Well, I will introduce myself for those who may not know. I am Ayanna Carter Brassey, but professionally I'm known as Ayanna Carter. And I have been in the media space for just about 10 years, just over 10 years, and in communications in just about 7 or 8 years. I was in Tobago at one point. I mean, that's where my career started at Tobago Channel 5. And now I'm here at TTT Limited, where I am a journalist and producer. And yes, I also do anchor the news at some point. So yeah, that is basically me on the professional front. Yeah.
I think for those of us who may, view TTT from time to time, this is no stranger to us, right? But thank you so much for giving us that professional introduction into what you do. So, what inspired your journey to start on journalism, to get into anchoring on a whole?
I think that this is something that I have always wanted to do. My mother has always told me that they would put the news on because in that time, I mean, I'm aging myself by saying this, right? But TTT was the only station at that time when I was younger. So when they put on Panorama, I would go to the front of the TV and I would be reporting with Dominic Calipasad and all of the other anchors on TTT. I would have my very own newscast for everybody.
Mm.
So I think I have always loved that, and it's something that I've never wavered from. I never wanted to be anything else. I've always wanted to get involved in media and communication.
Right, right. JeNae, so there was some evidence sent to us, like every good journalist, there is evidence of such. Mrs. Carter, Mrs. Brassey, my apologies, would have mentioned that from a young age she would have been giving her reporting on the panorama, etc., etc. I'm just asking the team to just bring up that photo evidence of Miss Ayanna. Here we go. So, Miss Ayanna, tell us about what is happening in this photo right now.
Well, clearly you see a big back TV, so this has been aged. I think I was about 4 or 5 years old here, and my mother took this photo. And if you see, I mean, it's very fuzzy, kind of black and white. Again, aging myself. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's a new story going on there, and I am there giving the news. I don't know what I was saying. I mean, she can't remember either. But yeah,
JeNae,
that is me, and that's always been me.
doesn't she look like she's passionately giving the news? Like, there's some
Definitely.
heart into giving it
Exactly,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think, there is clear evidence that there was passion from a very
And
young age to
and
get
this
into
is what she's
journalism.
meant to done.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. So, I'm happy that, you followed the path. Clearly that passion started from very young, and now you're I wouldn't say older now. You're young at heart now, giving us, what your passion is about in the public space, right? So,
I will take
you
that.
right. So, for every profession, for every journey that we set out on, there are some challenges that we face. So what are some of the challenges? I know that sometimes when I get ready in the morning, I'm a bit nervous. That's something that I have to battle with before we start the show. But what about your challenges? What are some of the challenges that you face?
Well, I mean, I share your challenge because every time I have to do a report in front camera, it is something that is very daunting for me. I still get nervous. And I think that if you don't get nervous, then you're not doing it right.
Mm,
And I mean, besides that, I mean, I am a married woman and I have two beautiful daughters. So
congratulations.
my challenge, oh, thank you, girl. But my challenge now these days would be more of a work-life balance. It's something that I think all women in every profession has to deal with,
Very
especially if
true.
they have a family of their own.
Mm,
And I mean, trying to strike the balance between being the professional that gives 100% every day and, keeping up with the news. I mean, not just local news, regional, international news. And then you have to be mommy every day, 24/7, and then you have to be wife 24/7 every
yes.
day. Striking that balance is always very difficult. But fortunately for me, I have support system
Mm,
that understands the challenges of the profession because it's
yes.
not an easy one. And they support me. I mean, right now we're here at after 7 in the morning, and my children are waiting for me so I could carry them to school right after this interview. So, I mean, being a woman in any sphere, but I think particularly in media and communication, where this job is 24/7, just like the rest of your life,
Mm.
that balance is always difficult to maneuver sometimes.
All right, but I'm happy to hear that you are actually striking that balance because I mean, your children understand because they are sitting patiently, as you said, to drop them to school. And of course, there
And
is your
it's not
husband.
easy. Yeah, it's not easy. I'm sure it's not easy for them sometimes because they have to get up really early and go home really late sometimes. And, my husband is very understanding, thank God. I married a good one. So, yeah, that's important. Having that support is very important.
Yes, yes, it is. And I must, as you share in my challenge, I share in your understanding on that we need a support system, no matter what sphere we're in, actually. But, in terms of the early mornings and the late nights, we really do need that support system. Someone who understands, children who understand that mommy can't be here at the time of the striking of the bell, right? Because I used to suffer with that sometimes. Sometimes I would be there sitting, everybody leaving and I'm like, where is my
My
mother?
mommy.
Right? But I'm happy that your children are part of that support system.
Okay, so as we
Yeah.
focus on International Women's Day, as you know, back in the day,
Mm.
women didn't have as much privileges as we have right now. So my question for you is, what advice would you give young women inspiring to be in the communication field?
Mm.
All right. So, if you are not passionate about um, telling other people's stories, and if you are not passionate about the industry itself, this is probably not for you. Oh,
Mm.
hey, I have not seen that photo in years. Just sharing it on the side. Yes, I remember that interview. And yeah, I mean, it's something. Media and journalism and communication is such a dynamic and
Yes.
interesting field. And if it's something that you are not interested in for the right reasons,
Mm.
then I don't advise that you do that. But if you are in it for the right reasons and you feel that passion and drive to
Oh.
really change and oh my God, listen.
Oh, this is our very own William Nana posing up with Mrs. Ayanna Carter Brassey. Clearly you are known face yet
I have
Tobago
not seen those
updates.
photos in ages.
I think we have to blame our team for bringing up those photos on screen this morning. For whatever reason, they found them
Oh,
wherever. But I'm happy that they did. It shows your journey. It really does.
yeah. And I mean, William has been around for the journey for a very long time with me,
Mm,
actually. when I first moved to Tobago, he was my first friend. So, he taught me a lot in the whole
Right.
journey of media and stuff.
But let me use this experience as a
Yeah, but I'm not sure if
learning
I finished to answer the
experience.
question though.
Oh, okay, okay.
You
Well,
can go ahead.
you want me to repeat the question for you?
Yeah, I
Okay,
mean,
so what advice would
no,
you
no, no,
give?
it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. I yeah, if you're not in it for the right reasons, I mean, in as a media practitioner, you are responsible for um giving the right news at the right time to the people that you are giving this to. This the public, and this is regional, international. In this time of social media and increased technology, this news is going to be worldwide. And you are that face, you are that comforting person, you are the person who they can turn to give reliable and correct and accurate information.
Yes.
And so you have a heavy burden really when you're in this field, whether it be in active media or in corporate communications. And persons depend on you, and that's not always quite easy, and it's sometimes very thankless. Um, you have to be the motivator for yourself
Mm.
and try to remember the reasons why you do this on a daily basis, or else, like I said, this is probably not going to be for you.
All right. I think we could share in that. Janae is at a level where researching on a whole, getting the facts together, dating those
Mm-hmm.
facts, all of those things. We both are at levels that we
Yeah.
understand the struggles of having to dig deeper and making sure everything connected and it
And there's a whole subject
e-
dedicated
exactly.
specifically to research.
Yeah. So, it's all of that I understand, but then your extra burden would be now to present these facts to the actual public. So now you have to deal with the, I would say, nervousness of presenting to the public as well as having the correct information.
Mm-hmm.
That in itself is a challenge on its own. It's a together challenge, a duo challenge that I
Yeah.
personally, salute you for as a woman in this here field, right? So
Yeah.
my question is, honestly, this is a genuine question. What keeps you motivated?
What keeps me motivated? Right off the bat, my children. Firstly, my
Mm.
children, because I have two daughters, and if it were not for them, I want to make the world a better place for them. Their generation is growing up, and it's going so fast paced. There's AI, technology is going at a pace. Um, Geopolitics. I mean, everything is going so quickly for them that I want to make as much difference now in a positive direction so that they can have a path to walk, whether they choose to be in media and communications or if they choose to be a mechanic or a hairdresser or whatever their passions are. I want
Mm.
to ensure that as a woman that I make the way clearer for them, and so they keep me going. And of course my family keeps me going, and then the many people that I meet on a daily basis whose story who's I'm so thankful that they trust me with their stories, and they trust me to relay the information to them. um, they keep me going as well, because the kind of trust and depend they depend on you,
Mm.
and I don't want to disappoint them at any point in time. And they keep me going as well.
All right.
Okay, so going back to the previous picture that was shared, you guys are saying William. Now, I'm 17 and I have no clue who that is. But the way y'all are speaking, I feel a little bit jealous that I don't know who it is.
Yeah, yeah. But for the viewers who may not know Mr. Nana or Janae being one of them, as she said, William Nana is one of our managers here at the studio, actually, at Tobago Updates. So, the production that's happening happening, some of the ideas that you see streamed, he is one of the masterminds behind it, right? So him standing next to somebody like Ayanna, I mean, this says a lot. And then she's saying that, he was a major part of her journey. I think this is a very significant thing for Tobago Updates on a whole, because he plays, of course, a major role in Tobago Update Studio.
Okay.
Yeah. So Janae's smiling. She understands now, the hype behind having Mr. Nana stand behind or stand next to Mrs. Brassey. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean,
He's a powerhouse in himself.
no, that's facts. That's facts. So let's dive into, your routine, your workspace. I mean, you mentioned that a lot of it having to drop your children to school, etc., etc. So when the drop-offs and everything happen and it's now time to go to studio, take us through that routine. What you have to do to get ready for show, etc. I know, in the background of all of this happening here at Tobago Updates, our mornings are pretty busy. How are your mornings at TTT?
Just as busy. I mean, I think that's not going to change. I get here and I start to work usually immediately. Whether I have to go out on assignment, I do that, I cover that, I come back, I write the story. And at TTT, we have several newscasts. So it's not just about the 6 p.m. newscast. We have 4 p.m., 12 p.m., 8 p.m., 7 p.m., 6 a.m., and 7 a.m., sorry.
Wow.
So my responsibility is wide in that regard, because now I have to ensure that there are stories in there, and especially if I'm producing one of the newscasts, that's an additional something that we have to do. So on top of writing the stories, when you come back from assignment, you now have to produce the newscast. So you have that added responsibility. Our team here is fantastic, so they make the work a little easier, a little more enjoyable than some days it could be very tough, so there's always somebody here that you can bounce ideas off of. And that is my day all day, I mean, it's either you're
Wow.
writing stories, you're voicing stories, you're getting makeup done, you're heading down to studio. I mean, there are a lot of different variables, it changes throughout the day and throughout the week.
I think when people see us come on TV, there is the hype of being on TV, but there is a lot that happens in the background before coming on set. People they're quite frank,
Absolutely.
I would say, in what has to be done in the timekeeping. When we come to studio and the time is, quickly winding down to when we have to start, somebody's shouting the time in the background, your makeup artist now quickening, the whole set makeup and everything that has to be done. And, there is now you to have to come and set up to come and actually present to people. And then you sit down and you have to make this look normal. Like, yes, I was always sitting here waiting for you all to start, so I get the business of the routine. I am first-hand witness to what this routine looks like, and I share with you that it can be a lot,
Yeah.
but when you balance yourself properly, it actually comes through. It makes you a better person as a presenter to the public. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I call it organized chaos.
you see,
I agree.
Janae nodded hardly at that. That is true. Organized chaos. As long as it's organized and not
Yeah.
very much chaotic on the chaotic side of things, I
Exactly.
think we're okay. We can work with
I
that.
mean, sometimes it leans toward chaotic, depending on the situation at the time. It
Yeah.
could, veer a little bit more toward the chaotic part of things. But again, you have a great team. You lean on your training. I was fortunate to be trained by several persons, including Wendell Constantine.
Mm,
I've had training with Mike Kalipasad. I mean, a lot of persons would have, Dr. Paul Richards would have trained us as well. So it is, I mean, they help you prepare for the things that you may not be able to predict. And
yeah.
as much as possible, you need to predict. But in the times when things are organized chaos, you need to know how to present yourself still. And the people that look at you on television, they don't need to know that your mic not working,
Yeah.
or you
Yeah.
can't hear your director, or the stories change suddenly. There's a change in script. what you're reading on the script is probably not on your prompter. They don't need to know that. They
Right.
look at you and say, you know what, I'm going to sit and I'm going to look at this person in front of me and they're going to tell me the truth.
Right.
And that is what it is.
I think what is important as well is having a contingency plan to what could actually go wrong. We can't eliminate the fact that there are errors that would happen during the casting of the news or the interviewing of a well-renowned reporter and journalist like Miss Ayanna Brassey, right? So you can't eliminate those things. I think having plans set in place to know what to do, etc., etc. I honestly am joining you in everything that you're saying this morning. I totally understand, right? So I'm going to be a little snoopy right now. How do you filter?
Snoopy.
Yes. How do you filter your stories? Like, okay, we're saying that several people come to you on a daily basis or weekly basis, however it may be, with several stories that they want to bring across to the public, whether it be negative, something in the positive light, something in between, as is journalism is very colorful. How do you filter your stories on what to present? How do you eliminate the ones that you shouldn't and choose the ones that you should?
Well, I think as a journalist, that
Mm.
comes with your training. So, I mean, are there stories that you should not present? There's always a way. There's
Yes.
always a way. Even the person who you think is not making sense makes sense when you really sit down and you think about it within the context of things.
Mm.
So it's never really an issue where a story is not a good story. You just have to find a way to make it something that persons can relate to without losing the essence of what the person told you,
Right.
or to tarnish or diminish their story at all. So it's just a matter of training and you strike your balance. I mean, I think that might be the word for the day, balance, you know?
Yeah. It is, it is. The reason why I asked that question because I saw the eyebrows, kind of squinch to say, this question seems like one that, should be rhetorical, if so to speak, there should be this obvious answer to it. But the reason why I asked, sometimes reporters take to Facebook first before, they present the actual news to whatever body that they represent. So, you would see comments like, why did you choose this story to present, or who asked you this question, or what going on with these facts, this type of thing. So that's why I asked, is there a filter that people should follow, in terms of presenting? And if there isn't a filter, now that the public is viewing, a lot of them are viewing, they know why everything is publicized on that person's page, etc., etc., right? So
Even though something may not matter to you, the subject
mm,
matter may not matter to you, it matters to somebody.
right.
And you have to reach people whose voices are not as loud as others.
Mm,
Your responsibility is not just to the persons in the front. Your responsibility are to persons who in the minority as well. So, I mean, the issue of why oppose that, why that is an issue. Somebody might be saying that and then thinking, oh, thanks for this information. But,
yeah.
they're going with the crowd. And like I said, you have to cater to everybody. I mean, there's a saying that says you're not double, so not everybody will like you. Or is it cake? Something like that. You're not a dessert or something like that. So not everybody is gonna like you.
Mm,
And sometimes your story is not popular with the masses.
right.
But that does not mean it's not something that is not worth telling.
Yes. And what I would say as well to add on to what you said is that sometimes the little stories that we think are very little or maybe insignificant to you, it might be a fact that leads up to another major story. So as you said, every story is relevant. And thank you for the clarity that you've brought on that, Thank you for being a woman that speaks up on that point. Yeah? All right. So thank you, Mrs. Brassey.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mrs. Brassey, for being with us here this morning. I know that your children are waiting for you to take them to school. So I wish you a very safe journey on your way. I wish you a great day and, success to you in all your future endeavors. Thank you for being with us here on Youth Wednesdays on Tobago Updates as we celebrate International Women's Day into week, right? So thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
Viewers, Yes. Viewers, before we leave, you know that we normally feature a great picturesque place in Tobago. This photo has been presented by Mr. Brian Kennedy. And I know that a lot of us are aware of where this is. This looks like, JeNae, what do you think? This looks like a drone footage, no?
Yeah.
Because I mean, they've captured
panoramic view.
there's everything there. I mean, you know, so this is the museum up at the
Fort King George.
And we could see the lighthouse at the side there.
Yeah.
This is a really lovely picture.
It is.
Because it kind of it also captures, you know, the background. When you go up to Fort King George, there is this view that you have of Scarborough. You know, everything is there. Everything is just plain to see in this photo. So, Mr. Brian Kennedy, thank you for gracing our screens this morning with this lovely picture of the day. Yes, I say congratulations to you for capturing such a moment. All right. So, viewers, before we continue on, I ask you to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.